let us get to the heart of the message of Fatima. I would like to speak about the apparitions of May and June 1917. Pope John Paul II called Our Lady of Fatima the Madonna of the Message. It is true that we have become used to hearing of many messages. Now we even have WhatsApp. Are you able to count all the messages you receive in a day? So I know SMS, WhatsApp, Telegram, email, TikTok as well? I don't know. Poi Teams, now there is no more Skype, there is Teams, and other. How many messages we receive every day? But here we have the message. So as well, sure, the good news, the good message was the one who Jesus preached to us, the gospel. But so here in Fatima, we experience another very great grace from God. Madonna of the message, not WhatsApp message. We're singing? Okay. It's true. So often we receive messages on our phones. Our Lady is calling you, not at the phone. You not have to expect a calling from Our Lady. The phone. Our Lady has appeared here for giving us the message of salvation. Conversion, reparation, salvation. Our Lady has appeared there. So many messages from heaven here. Perhaps it may seem that all this somewhat diminishes the value of the true messages, those approved by the Church, but because also in WhatsApp you receive Our Lady say here, says here. In every part of the world it seems Our Lady is speaking. So I say perhaps it may seem that all this somewhat diminishes the value of the true messages, those approved by the Church, such as the message of Our Lady of Fatima. To this we have to give attention, special attention. Father Antonio Maria Martins, a Jesuit, begins one of his books on Fatima by listing all the interventions, a very interesting book, listing all the intervention of the popes in favor of Fatima up to John Paul II, and then he passed away. Father Martins passed away. He wrote his book in 1987 during the reign of John Paul II, who had survived the assassination attempt. Father Antonio Martins showed how every pope gave importance to the message of Fatima, especially Pius XII. However, the child Jesus, in an apparition to Sister Lucia some years after the Marian apparitions of 1917, complained that what he had requested had not been done. The child Jesus appeared to Sister Lucia. Just as what happened in France, where the Sacred Heart appeared to Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque and asked for the consecration of the nation to his Sacred Heart, but the reigning king did not do it. So here, the child Jesus complained that what he had requested had not been done. At Fatima, sadly, the child Jesus and Our Lady lamented about this as well, like in France. Is this true for us? For each of us, maybe? The child Jesus and Our Lady are lamenting about me? It is an apparition that perhaps does not receive much attention. We find the apparition containing the request for the consecration of Russia to the Immaculate Heart in Appendix 2 of Sister Lucia's memoirs. But now I would like to read Appendix 1, which is very interesting. It contains the account of the apparition written by Lucia in 1927, exactly 10 years after the 1917 apparitions. However, the apparition described dates back to, was written in 1927, but dates back to the apparition of 10 December 1925. So in 10 December, in Italy we celebrate the feast, the 10 December, of Our Lady of Loreto. When the home of Jesus came from the Holy Land to Loreto. Have you been there? Yes. All of you? In Loreto? Yes. You have come? Have to come. So, Sister Lucia, exactly when you will be in Loreto, maybe, Trevor, 10 December 2025, so 100 years, maybe you?
Yes, 100 years later.
We've been the 5th. Oh, so 5 days before the centenary of this apparition of Lucia. So, you understand? Not from here to Loreto. And in December, so you come back to London and you have to arrange with Trevor. Okay. Okay. So, exactly 100 years ago, 10 December 1925, Sister Lucia had this apparition. Lucia had initially written an account shortly after the apparition, but then burned it for not becoming superb, for destroying vanity, spiritual vanity. So he burned it. But the confessor was reprovating. So Lucia, in 1920, after 2 years, under the instruction of her spiritual director, Reverend Father Aparicio, a Jesuit priest, she rewrote it. The apparition occurred in her cell on 10 December, the 10th of December 1925. What is the cell?
A room.
In prison. Prison.
Prison room.
Prison cell. No, in the convent. We call the room, not room, because it's not very room, it's a cell as well. In the past, now we are in a modern convent, but in the past, especially the Capuchin, used to have a very, have you been in St. John? The Father Pio's room is enlarged. Before was what we can see now are 2 cells. They were very small and very short door. You have to enter like that. Very short and very small and very poor. Only a bed and a small, very small table and a chair, maybe a chair.
No heater.
No heater. What is heater? What is heater? See, I know. So, she was in her cell, and you know how holy was already. I think we don't anticipate the judge of the church saying someone holy if he or she is not yet. But I think she was a holy sister. So she received this apparition on the 10th December 1925. We know of the 3 angelic apparitions in 1916, although their precise dates are unknown. Only the general time frames: the first one in spring, the second one in summer, the 3rd angelic apparition in autumn. Then we know of the Marian apparitions that occurred on the 13th of each month from May to October 1917. May, June and July occurred as scheduled. In August, the apparition was delayed because the child visionaries were taken by the administrator of Villanova de Urem and removed from Fatima and put in the prison, in the cell. Nonetheless, the apparition did take place on 19th August, once the children were released in the place we were yesterday. You remember? Yes. Yesterday, before the place of the apparitions of the angel. On that occasion, in August, Our Lady appeared at the Valignos location, about 500 meters from Aljustrel. The apparitions continued then on the 13th September and 13th, the famous one, October, with the miracle of the sun. But that was not the end of the apparitions. Lucia received further visits from the Virgin and from the Lord. In Appendix 1, we have the apparition of Our Lady on the 10th December 1925. Shortly after experiencing it, Lucia wrote an initial account, which she later destroyed, feeling uncomfortable with making her visions public. This is a sign of holiness, as revealing such things recklessly could lead to vanity. So she destroyed it, fearing she might fall into temptation. The document we have now is the second version, identical to the first. She also added a brief introduction referring to the 17th December 1927. In it, the seer explains how she received authorization from heaven to reveal part of the secret she had been given. We refer to this document as part of the secret, the Great Promise. Do you remember it? The Great Promise of the 5 first Saturdays. The Great Promise of the Heart of Mary. This is in truth an expression of divine mercy and the generous will of God, who offers an easy and sure path to salvation. The devotion, the 5 first Saturdays. 5 consecutive first Saturdays of the month. One must go to confession, receive communion, say the rosary, and meditate for 15 minutes on the mysteries of the rosary. Heaven guaranteed. Simple, isn't it? Indeed, this promise is an expression of the mercy of God, of His gracious goodness. It offers a means of salvation that easy and sure, rooted in the soundest Catholic tradition concerning the saving power of Marian intercession, what we call the mediation of grace by Our Lady. Our Lady intercedes for us. She is the mediatrix of all graces, Our Lady of Grace, as we call in Italy. Also you, no? Our Lady of Grace. Do you have a sanctuary of that? What?
In Italy.
No, in Italy. No, in London.
My miraculous
You have to build one. Okay? In Croydon. No. In Catford. The sisters are. So, why not? Why not? A sanctuary to Our Lady of all the grace. Of grace. All the graces. Oh, will be better. A sanctuary to Our Lady Corredentrix. Why not?
Yes.
You know, we built one in Philippines. And they started one in Brazil, and now there is another one in Philippines. Wonderful. Not so easy, huh? So the power of Our Lady is well known. So how can such a simple request from her be so effective? It is effective precisely because Our Lady is so powerful, omnipotent through grace, as the saints say. Omnipotence through grace means not by nature, is not God, Our Lady, but through grace, because God wants this. But how can Jesus refuse something to his mother? Is it possible? How Jesus loved his mother? In infinite way. Infinite way. So, is it possible Jesus refused something to her? Not possible. Impossible. Jesus is the perfect child of the world, of the history. So, for this we speak on the omnipotent, that Mary is omnipotent through grace for the will of God. In this text, Appendix 1, the reader will find the necessary conditions for responding to the call of the 5 first Saturdays in reparation for the offenses committed against the heart of Mary. I found always very nice in the booklet of A Day with Mary. You say that, no, at the very beginning, guys, I if I remember well. No? The Pius VI, yeah, okay. So very, very nice. So this devotion aims to repair the offenses committed against the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So I found very, very good A Day with Mary, because it tried tries to respond this appeal of Our Lady to make prayers and sacrifices for repairing the offenses committed against the Immaculate Heart. And you say explicitly at the very beginning of that day, no? Every Saturday, I think. Every Saturday. You say, so it's a great apostolate, a great mission, I think. I'm sure, not I think, I'm sure. So this devotion, the 5 first Saturdays, aims to repair the offenses committed against the Immaculate Heart of Mary. What a noble work. Just as the devotion of the 9 first Fridays is a reparation, a devotion of reparation for the offenses committed against the heart of Jesus, so too here, heaven itself requests reparation. See how much heaven cares. At Fatima, heaven asks for reparation for sins committed against the Immaculate Heart of Mary. If you wound the heart, you wound everything. A wound to the heart is terrible. In families, when there is a heartbreak, a deep sorrow, what suffering it causes. How many heartaches we encounter in life, and how many sorrows are inflicted on the heart of Mary. How many dreadful blasphemies against her. It's a deep and terrible blow to the heart to have so much ingratitude, so much indifference against the heart of Jesus and the heart of Mary. Think of how many blows they constantly receive. How many human beings are there in the world? 7 billion. Imagine how many blows arrive at the hearts of Jesus and Mary each day, as we said. Even if each person committed only one venial sin a day, that would be 7 billion blows daily. Sadly, there are also people who blaspheme constantly. It is terrible, horrible. So how many mortal wounds are inflicted each day to the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary? How the sufferings of the heart of our Divine Mother multiply incessantly. And there are also men who attack ideologically the faith and Mary as well. Do you remember that very moving episode in the life of Saint Maximilian Kolbe when he was a young man, a young friar, around 20, studying at seminary in Rome? He had come from Poland and was sent by the superiors to study in Rome about a century ago, at the beginning of the 19th century. No, the 20th century. Certainly, the city of Rome was not as corrupt then, with all the immorality and scandal as it is today. Especially in summer, it is hard to go now in Rome, the heart of Catholicism, and witness such corruption, indifference, and disdain for the faith, especially for the immorality of dressing or not dressing. So 100 years ago was not so like today. One day Saint Maximilian was out walking. That was something he could still do then. There are spectacular churches in Rome over every 50 or 100 meters. Churches filled with treasures of faith and art of every kind, relics, bodies of saints, and so on. Have you been there? Yes? In Rome? No, Prisca?
Review and Carlo Cottage. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I said.
While walking, so Saint Maximilian was walking, he crossed paths with a group of rowdy young men. One of them uttered a terrible blasphemy against Our Lady. What did Saint Maximilian do? With tears in his eyes, he approached and asked the young man, "Would you blaspheme your own mother?" The young man, embarrassed, apologized and promised never to do it again. Who makes reparation for the sins committed against the heart of Jesus and Mary? Today, who makes reparation for the sins today? I have only spoken of blasphemy. Let's think about sacrileges. We heard about what happened at the Olympics a year ago, July 2024. How could such a desecration of the very heart of Christianity, the Mass, be permitted without any resistance? This attack on the Mass shows us clearly that the enemy knows the Eucharist is the most important thing for Catholics worldwide. Why else hold such a grotesque parody? They know very well that the Mass is the center, and the current attack on the Mass is an attack on the very heart of the Church and the heart of Jesus and Mary. But who makes reparation for that big sacrilege? Who atones for those desecrations? What should France do now? After having scandalized the whole world, what was organized to make reparation? I don't know what the bishops of France did. Did the Church do anything at the global level to repair that desecration? Almost nothing has been heard of. Only after some time did someone say something. It's scandalous. So, who makes reparation? Do you think Jesus was not hurt, not just offended, wounded in his very heart? 2000 years ago, he instituted the Eucharist as the sacrament of love. I give my life for you. This is the sacramental sign of my love for you. The Mass, the sacrifice of Jesus renewed. Jesus is mocked on international television in front of the entire world. That was a blatant mockery of Jesus Christ, and does anyone make reparation? Do you think Our Lady didn't suffer seeing her Son, whom she adores as God, as Lord, and as child, as Son, mocked like that? So you see how important is reparation for sins today. Because otherwise, God said us, war, epidemic, sickness will come to us. And they are coming. You see, in which condition are we is almost starting a world war, atomic this time. The probability is very near. Why? Sacrilege, offenses to the heart of Christianity, the Mass. Our Lady, with her Immaculate Heart, with her extraordinary wisdom, far greater than all the world's theologians combined, with her sensitivity as the most perfect creature, sanctified from the very beginning and full of grace, how much must she have suffered to witness such a desecration? How hard a blow must she have felt to her heart? Above all, the world's indifference and silence before such a horror, especially from the Catholic people. I believe one of the athletes, perhaps more than one, refused to compete in protest, but told the Catholic athletes should have said, "I'm leaving. What am I doing here? Am I taking part in a desecration, in that desecration?" This is just one blatant example of blasphemy and sacrilege. But how many take place every day? And who makes reparation? That's why Our Lady comes here to ask for reparation to you, not more only to the 3 children. Finished. No, Fatima is not finished. This devotion of the 5 first Saturdays requested by Our Lady is precisely a devotion of reparation. Now let us look at the 5th appendix with the text that follows. As we said previously, there was the 5th draft written in 1925, and then in 1927 she added a short passage which we'll read now. Lucia writes in the 3rd person. She was ashamed to write about herself, so she asked for permission to write in the 3rd person. She speaking about herself, but she tells the story as though it happened to someone else. So she writes, on the 17th December, she approached the tabernacle, 17 December 1927. She approached the tabernacle and asked Jesus, the mystics are so, how she could answer the question she had been asked, whether the origin of the devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary was included in the secret that the Most Holy Virgin had entrusted to her. People wanted to know the secret. When you want to know a secret from someone, what do you do? Tell me, what happened? You start asking indirect questions to figure it out. So poor Sister Lucia was being asked many questions to try to learn something about the secret. In the secret, the devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary is mentioned. So she approached the tabernacle and asked Jesus how she could respond to this question without lying and without offending anyone. The question was whether the origin of the devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary was part of the secret revealed by the Blessed Virgin. Now listen carefully. Jesus spoke clearly to her from the tabernacle. and say these words. Remember, when we think of Fatima, we usually think of the 6 apparitions from May to October, and perhaps the ones from the angel. But this shows the heaven continued to intervene. So Jesus spoke to her clearly, "My daughter, write what they ask of you, and also write everything that the Most Holy Virgin revealed to you in the apparition where she spoke to Eve the devotion 1925, so 2 years before. As for the rest of the secret, continue to maintain silence." Later, she would reveal part of the second, the July vision, the vision of hell. Then, out of obedience, she revealed the entire secret. The third part was only made known to the world in the year 2000. So, Lucia asked Our Lady, "Will you take us to heaven?" The Blessed Virgin answered, "Yes, Jacinta and Francisco, I will take soon, but you are to remain here a while longer." And how long is a while? About 90 more years. Now, listen to what Our Lady said to Lucia. She said this in 1917, and later, in 1925, Jesus told her, "Yes, you may now speak of this." Our Lady said, you are to remain here a while longer. Jesus wishes," so said in 1925, "Jesus wishes to use you to make me known and loved." This is the mission of Lucia. This is your mission now, because you are here today. So here, you hear this word, so now is your mission. Jesus wishes to use you to make Mary known and loved. So do this, please, especially the day with Mary. Lucia asked Our Lady, "Will you take us to heaven?" So, I already read. "Whoever comes to Fatima now receive this mission. Jesus says this to each of you. He wishes you to use you to make his mother known. That is, Jesus wants the Blessed Virgin to be known and loved. Jesus wants to establish in the world the devotion to my Immaculate Heart, and to those who embrace it, I promise," here is the great promise, "I promise," said Our Lady, "I promise salvation, eternal salvation. These souls will be loved by God, like flowers placed by me, Mary, to adorn the throne of God in heaven for all eternity." This is the promise. So, if you love the Immaculate Heart of Mary, if you spread this devotion, then you will be like flowers on God's throne. And Our Lady will place you there. She can do this. But Lucia was not very convinced. She was human. Lucia was not convinced. She was probably overjoyed by this revelation, but she was still a child, and she continued, "And I stay here alone." Poor child, 10, no? 10 years old. "And I stay here alone." Our Lady said, "I will take soon Francisco and Jacinta. You will remain here for a while." "And I stay here alone?" "Yes." Such a touching moment. You know, a child is very practical. Yeah. do I stay here alone? She asked sadly. No, my daughter. Wonderful. I will never abandon you. This is what Our Lady is saying you now. I will never abandon you. Whoever comes here hears these words from the Blessed Virgin Mary. I will never abandon you. And what follows is beautiful, very, very beautiful. My Immaculate Heart, in fact, will be your refuge and the way that will lead you to God. My Immaculate Heart will be your refuge. You know, the priests, friars, sisters, maybe you, we pray the breviary, and how it ends with compline. You say the evening prayer. Come si dice compline? Compline. Compline. The prayer of compline. At compline, the short reading says, "Be watchful, do not sin. The devil prowls about like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. But Our Lady tells you, my Immaculate Heart will be your refuge. Don't fear. The enemy roams about, but we are well protected if we have devotion, a true devotion, not a false devotion, to Mary. Our Lady tells us, my Immaculate Heart will be your refuge. This is another powerful part of the Fatima message. My Immaculate Heart will be the way that leads you to God. There you have it, the heart, the consecration. This is why consecration to Our Lady is so important, because it is the path that leads you to God, to heaven. In the meantime, I will bring Jacinta and Francisco with me right away, but you, Lucia's fate is that of most people, and thus our own, to remain here a little longer, we hope. And how shall we manage this a little longer? God knows. God knows. Our Lady tells you, my Immaculate Heart will be your refuge. You must love me and make me known. I will be your refuge and I will be the way that leads you to God. That is the purpose of consecration to Our Lady, to become another Mary, living, speaking, acting in you on this earth. Because she is the way that leads us to God. How far God seems from the earth. My goodness. How do we get to heaven? Here it is. The path is the Immaculate Heart of Mary. She removed the distance. So when you feel like Lucia, I'm staying here alone, the answer is no, my daughter, my son. A strong, firm adversative. No, no. My daughter, my son, you are not alone. My Immaculate Heart will be your refuge. A refuge against atomic bomb. Mary can do this, can protect you from all dangerous. On the 10th December 1925, the Most Holy Virgin appeared to her, and at her side, suspended on a luminous cloud, was the child Jesus. The Most Holy Virgin, placing her hand on Lucia's shoulder, no, the other, you see the statue with the hand, so, no? shoulder. Imagine this sheen. Our Lady is touching you on your shoulder. And you go on the chapelina. Maybe it'll happen. So, imagine Our Lady here. When you go to the chapel, imagine her placing her hand on your shoulder and looking you straight in the eyes. These are things you can experience, some things you may feel, others you won't. But imagine that she walks there, that she is already, really there. And maybe she places her hand on your shoulder. So, and what happened? The Blessed Virgin placing her hand on Lucia's shoulder and showed her a heart crowned with thorns, which she held in her other hand. So, this one, and the other hand, the heart crowned with thorns. This is why one of Our Lady's hands is free, because it's touching Lucia's shoulder and the other holds a heart, her heart. She showed her a heart crowned with thorns, the heart of Our Lady. Her heart is crowned with thorns. Our Lady shares in all of Jesus' sufferings. This is the meaning of the thorns. The sharing in all Jesus' sufferings. He was crowned with thorns and she experienced those wounds in herself, in her heart. That pain in her divine Son's head became the crown of her own heart. She shares in all of Jesus' suffering. At Fatima, she shows herself crowned with thorns. And listen to how the child Jesus laments. Jesus is speaking now. There is no one who wants to remove these thorns. There is no one who wants to remove these thorns. Indeed, we leave them embedded, and yet she is our mother. How can we be so hard-hearted? Now listen, the child showed her heart crowned with thorns at the same time. Child with the capital C. So it is the child Jesus. He said to Lucia, have compassion on the Immaculate Heart of your most holy mother, which is covered in thorns, that ungrateful men drive into it at every moment. So every moment the heart of many is drive with thorns. At every moment men drive thorns into Mary's heart, her Immaculate Heart, and no one makes an act of reparation to remove them. Unbelievable. What is this proportion? Mankind constantly pierces the heart of Mary with thorns, and no one removes them with acts of reparation. At least you have compassion on the Immaculate Heart of your most holy mother. Jesus is asking of us for compassion. Is that possible? It should be spontaneous, automatic, not something Jesus has to ask for, because she is our mother as well. Yet today, right now, he's asking this of you who have come here to Fatima. He's asking for compassion for Mary's Immaculate Heart. At least you, yes, you who are listening, try to console Our Lady. At least you do acts of reparation and pluck the cruel thorns from his heart. Then listen to this. In paintings or statues of the crucified Jesus, we see the crown of thorns depicted as a very thin round of thorns. It has at most 2 or 3 threads. No, here he says it is terrible. Have compassion on the Immaculate Heart of your most holy. That is covered with thorns. Do you understand? Here Jesus says to Lucia, the heart of Mary is covered. It is not just a thread, just one round of thorn. No. Her heart is covered all over with thorns, so much so that you can hardly see this heart, because it is covered with thorns, which are the sins of ungrateful man. How many thorns from our lives have we placed in Mary's Immaculate Heart? And have we then removed any from it? Moreover, it is not just a question of removing our thorns. Here Jesus, he's saying to remove other men's too. Remove these thorns that cover Mary's heart. There is a mantle of thorns. How many can there be? Billions. Our Lady, however, but she loves us. It's incredible, no? We put continually thorns in her heart, but she loves us. Our Lady, however, says nothing. It is the child Jesus who speaks to Lucia. It is he who wants devotion to Mary's Immaculate Heart. Devotion means love and imitation of Mary, even to the point of almost transubstantiation. It's difficult in Italian, in English more. Transubstantiation in her, as Saint Maximilian says, is a mystic expression. The almost transubstantiation in her. But devotion also means reparation. Devotion to the Immaculate Heart is then a devotion of reparation, and Jesus asks for it. Later, the Blessed Virgin said to Lucia, "My daughter, look at my heart surrounded with the thorns with which ungrateful men pierce it at every moment by their blasphemies and ingratitude." Every moment. If you think of time zones, every moment somewhere in the walls, someone pierces thorns into Mary's heart with wickedness, blasphemy, ingratitude and sacrilege. You who listen, you at least try to console me, says you, Our Lady. Here comes the great promise to all those who, for 5 consecutive months, on the first Saturday, go to confession, receive Holy Communion, pray the Rosary, and keep me company for 15 minutes, meditating on the 15 mysteries of the Rosary, with the intention of making reparation to me. To them I promise to assist at the hour of death with all the graces necessary for salvation, eternal salvation. It's striking to think that the Blessed Virgin Mary is begging for our pity. How can we be so hard of heart, Fatima, as this aspect of reparation that is a striking one? Maybe, sure, we have to finish with this appeal of our and this wonderful promise. gave us. And we ask Our Lady to help us to be no more ungrateful and hard of heart. And we receive the request of the child Jesus to console always the heart of Mary, who is offended continually every moment. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. No, not 12:30 lunch? 1 o'clock also. Sorry. So now turn a bit patient, make sacrifice to save souls. So stay here, please. Now let's return to the first apparition, May's apparition. I was telling you that this book contains 4 memoirs and 3 appendices. So, someone asked for more details. I said it's a beautiful text because it consists of first-hand testimonies from those who lived through the events, especially Lucia. However, there are memoirs, and reading them as they are can be a little confusing because they are not presented in a complete or ordered way. In the first memoir, there is a piece of the story mainly concerning Lucia and Jacinta. In the second memoir, unlike the first, she does not talk about the first apparition. Lucia simply says, "Your Excellency," right to the bishop, "you already know about the first apparition, so I won't write it again." So in the second memoir, you cannot read the first apparition. So actually, in the first memoir, the first apparition isn't included. And in the second memoir, she refers to other events, but not the first. Therefore, to find a proper account, we must look to the last one, the fourth memoir. In Italian, we have a book written by Don Nello Castello, published by the Casa Mariana Editrice, in which he interweaves the 4 memoirs to form a single narrative. There are many books also in English, especially the Giovanni De Marchi book on Fatima history. So maybe these books are more comfortable to understand the chronological events, order of the events. So in this book, Donello, he interweaves the 4 memoirs to form a single narrative. It makes things much clearer. However, some aspects are inevitably lost compared to Lucia's original memoirs. While certain things may be repeated in them, there are often unique details that get lost in a compiled synopsis. So it's good to have both versions, to read the memoirs and to read the ordained history. First, read a continuous, reasonable, complete and chronological story, and then refer to the Sister Lucia's manuscript. There are also well-done monographs on the shepherd children and the apparitions, accounts that consider the memoirs but also draw on other sources. These are beautiful works like the Father Giovanni De Marchi, which is very well put together. It contains many details not found in Lucia's memoirs. she only recounts the most essential events. These other works are precious too, as they give us a complete view from many points of view. Ideally, one would come here in Fatima with these biographies, without conferences or talks, read all these books for hours in a month, maybe, and then go and experience them in the places where the events occurred. What we are trying to do with these talks is somewhat replace the work and help you to make some reflections. So we are at 13th May. Right, Lucia? While we were playing, Jacinta, Francisco and I, on the slope of the Cova de Ria, right here, where the chapel of the apparitions now stands, which was land belonging to Lucia's parents, who lived in the nearby village where we were. They were shepherds and would move with the sheep. This area was all countryside with trees. Now we cannot see any trees. Oh, just one. The very testimony of the apparition. The tree is there. No? We were building a little wall around a thicket when we suddenly saw what looked like a flash of lightning. "We'd better go home," I said to my cousins. "It's flashing, maybe a storm is coming." They agreed, but in fact the weather was fine. It was strange to see lightning with no sign of rain. So we started down the slope, heading the sheep toward the road. When we were about halfway down, so the place here, near a large holm oak, you have seen it near the apparition site, it's still there, we saw another flash. After taking a few more steps, we saw a lady standing above the holm oak, dressed all in white, brighter than the sun. It's strange to say brighter than the sun. What could be brighter? You can't even look at the sun. And yet they could look at this lady. It was a supernatural light as well, not a natural one. So it must have been a divine light, one that didn't hurt, one that the children could gaze at. She was all dressed in white, more radiant than the sun. Doesn't it remind you of something like the transfiguration of our Lord? When the disciples saw Jesus transfigured, his garments were whiter than any earthly light. And doesn't it also recall the book of Revelation, a woman clothed with the sun? Revelation 12. There are meaningful references. So the lady was dressed entirely in white. The statue of Our Lady of Fatima is all white. At Lourdes, by contrast, she has a blue sash. Here she is entirely white and brighter than the sun. Artists can't reproduce that. But perhaps we can imagine it. Maybe. She radiated a light clearer than the sun. Lucia tries to explain this with the words she had. The lady gave off a light more brilliant and intense than a crystal glass filled with clearer water. she wrote, lit by the most ardent rays of the sun. They were startled by the apparition and saw this lady, all in white, more brilliant than the sun. We were so close, she said, that we were enveloped in the light she radiated about 1.5 meters away, right about where the priest celebrated the Mass. But I'm the priest, you know. I can't stay there. Unworthily. And sadly, you can't go that close now. I think 30 years ago was possible, I think, maybe. So, but for reasons of order, only those serving at the Mass travel. Tuesday, you will serve the Mass, please. So you receive all requests of the people to bring to Our Lady, please. Then Our Lady spoke to us, said Lucia. This woman, clothed in light, opened her mouth and said, "Do not be afraid. I will not harm you." "Where are you from?" I asked. Lucia asked. "I am from heaven." "And what do you want from me?" "I have come to ask you to come here for 6 months in a row on the 13th day at the same time. Later, I will tell you who I am and what I want. I shall return here a 7th time. We are here about this. This 7th apparition occurred on the 16th June 1921, the day before Lucia left for the convent in Porto. It was a private message, so she never wrote it down. So Lucia continues. The lady said she was from heaven, and I asked, "And shall I go to heaven too?" "Yes, we will." Lucia understood that the heaven meant paradise. "And Jacinta?" "Also here now." "And Francisco?" "Also, but incredible. He must say many rosaries." He was a child. What about us? What about us? Jacinta? I? Yes. Jacinta? Yes. Francisco? Yes. But? And you? But what? You must, none would, could, must. It was wonderful because I did and I do, and after I go in paradise. So it's not a difficult thing. Say many rosaries. It's not a difficult thing. It seems an impossible thing. No, it's very easy to say rosary. Or not. Hail Mary, our Father, glory be. I finished. So, Francisco also, but he must say many rosaries. You see, Francisco didn't hear anything, just he saw, but cannot hear. Couldn't hear. He saw, but he didn't hear the conversations during the apparitions. Why that is, we don't know. It is a mystery. But he experienced all the effects of the apparition, like Lucia and Jacinta, even those of the angel before. When they told him that Our Lady said he had to pray many rosaries, he replied, "I'll say as many as she wants." very nice child, holy child for this. I'm very happy, yes, of course, I will do.
So after you said that he couldn't hear,
No,
but he could see what she was saying.
see,
So they told him.
after he asked Lucia and Jacinta what Our Lady said, and they explained him. Lucia continues. So, because for this it's important to read, because here it's explained everything. It's very beautiful. Maybe I read the first time when I was 12 or 15 years old. And I still remember the very good impression I had on reading, not this, the ordinated, the chronological ordained book one. It was very impressing me to read not only the apparition. Now as a priest and friar I can make some more deep reflection, but at time when I was child, the examples of the children were me impressed very much me. So Lucia continues. I then remember to ask about two girls who had died recently. So I go, Jacinta will go, Francisco, after many roses, go. So I have to, said Lucia, two friends. So these two girls, they were my friends and used to come to my house to learn weaving from my older sister. Maria das Neves is already in heaven, Our Lady replied. She must have been about 16. And Amelia? No. Lucia. Shh. Our Lady responded. She will be in purgatory until the end of the world. Now, I believe she was, right, Lucia, 18 or 20 years old. In purgatory until the end of the world. About us, what will respond Our Lady? Of course, if someone prays for her, offer masses and sacrifice, the time can be shortened. Intercession helps shorten the time souls spend in purgatory. But impressive, the first apparition, Francisco will go in paradise, many roses, yes, but man, he needs to pray. And Amelia, she will stay in purgatory until the end of the world. It's not yet finished. Now it's Our Lady who begins to lead the conversation. Up till now, Lucia, just 9 years old, was leading it with Our Lady. Very strong character. The Virgin asks now, do you want to offer yourselves to God? It's a big request, not to the child, to 3 childs. Do you want to offer yourselves to God? She uses sacrificial language to bear all the sufferings He wills to send you in reparation for the sins by which He is offended. Do you want?
Yes.
Sure? Yes. With the help of God, and not alone, because this is proud. Pride. So you see, the Virgin is asking for reparation for sins committed against God. Later, the child Jesus will tell you, see, you must also make reparation for these sins against my mother. To bear all suffering, he wills to send you in reparation. That is the purpose. Why these sufferings? Why this offering? As reparation for the sins that offend him, and as supplication for the conversion of sinners. So we have two purposes. First, the reparation of sins. Yes, sins must be repaired. It's like when I break a clay pot. It has to be fixed or replaced. Sin breaks, it ruins the relationship with God, so it must be repaired. You can't just leave it. When we go to confession, what happens? Is it enough to think, I have confessed, so I'm fine? No, only partly, because sin has two effects. There is the guilt and the punishment. What does the priest remove in confession? The guilt. You sin knowingly. You offended God by going against His word, His commandments, His will, the order He created. You have damaged the purpose for which you were created. That guilt is removed in confession by the priest, by the absolution of the priest. But sin also brings a penalty which must be paid to repair the offense. If you offend your brother, you have to ask pardon to repair. If you offend God, how you can repair? If you offend the King of London or England, how much you pay? And God is infinite more. How we can pay our sins? Jesus did for us it. But still we have to repair our offense. So the sin also brings a penalty which must be paid to repair the offense. That's reparation. You broke my car, no, I hope no, but you broke my car, either the insurance pays or you do, that's justice. Whoever breaks pays. You say in English?
Yes.
Okay. Whoever breaks pays. That's how it works. Of course, God's mercy enters into this too. It might sound a bit transactional, but is not, because sin is selfishness, and you remain selfish if you don't make reparation. How can you repair selfishness? Selfishness is anti-God. And who is God? The Apostle John says in his first letter, God is love. Sin is selfishness. Therefore, selfishness is anti-God. So, if we have put something anti-God inside me, if I've opposed Him, how do I bring God back? Through an act of love. That's the offering. That's the sacrifice we do. We have to do. Reparation means making restoration. It's not that God is harsh. Confession removes the guilt. God forgives forgives you, but still the penalty remains. Roll up your sleeves and fix what you have broken. God says when you confess, I forgive you. You have made a mess. You have hurt me. Now go and repair it. Do you see? God gives the sinner the chance to repair what's been broken. What extraordinary kindness. So maybe we continue tomorrow. Confession removes the guilt, but the punishment remains, and then I will explain more if you like. God bless you.